And what's up, everybody, and welcome back to Coast to Coast Gridiron. I'd like to introduce my special guest for this episode. He was the the first pick of the fourth round in the 22 CFL draft. He played his university football first for the SFU Klansmen. Then he went to the University of Manitoba, excelled in both BC and Manitoba. Ended up getting drafted last year to the Edmonton Elks, receiver Gavin Cobb. Gavin, how you doing today, buddy?
Doing good, man. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Good, man. So like I was saying a little bit before, when I started this podcast, I kind of wanted to have a platform to kind of bullshit, talk about football, kind of shoot the shit with my boys or just by myself, right? And then as well, I kind of wanted to maybe be a little bit of a filler in the gap that I feel like that there is in terms of like Canadian content for the game of football, kind of storytelling, that kind of thing.
Right.
We have a little bit of a relationship, so I figured why not? We're both island guys. I think that would be kind of cool that my first guest be kind of someone that's from where I'm from, kind of give kids where we're from kind of maybe a little bit of hope. They can kind of hear your story, be able to kind of be like, hey, I can do what Gavin Cobb's done. You know, there's someone that's born where I'm from or kind of grew up where I'm from, went to Mount Dog, whatever it may be. And you can maybe just be a little bit of inspiration. So,
Yeah, sure.
awesome, dude. So we'll take it back. You are from, obviously, like I said, Victoria, BC. For those that don't know, on the West Coast in British Columbia. You started playing your football, I believe, probably some Pop Warner for some.
Yeah. Started when I was 7. I started with the Gordon Head Raiders. Great organization. That's really where the roots come from. Yeah, it was always a great time growing up.
And I would imagine you kind of established some roots growing up playing youth football, right? Maybe some friendships and like that. And then you took it into Mount Douglas High School. For those of you that maybe aren't aware, if you're from BC, that's the program to go to if you want to excel, win championships, play at the next level, really get the best out of your football career. I maybe even go as far as saying best in kind of like Western Canada. Even I'm sure you're aware of maybe those 2013 teams and some teams that were even top one, like what number one teams in the country type talent levels. So jumping into it, what maybe was your decision, or maybe kind of what was your first memory of Mount Doug, and kind of what maybe took you to Mount Doug, and what made you want to go play for the Rams ultimately?
Well, man, growing up in Victoria, I mean, we only had one school really that played football. It was Mount Doug. And I mean, if you were in Langford, then you was going to Belmont, right? But at the time when I was coming into high school, Mount Doug was, man, they were a powerhouse. You know what I'm saying? Even when I was there, we were a powerhouse. We won. Coach Mark Townsend, he won 10 championships, in damn near 12 years, right? And you would always see the black Rams helmet, growing up, because we always used to wear the plain white helmets playing community football. And I remember when I was younger, we had a couple coaches, and they were students at Mount Doug who played football. I remember seeing their helmets. I was like, damn, I want to wear one of those black helmets with the horns on it one day. And coming into the 8th grade, I kind of knew it was either, I got, the school that's in my catchment, or I'm going to go over to Mount Doug, which, wasn't far. So that was really like the only option for me, is go play football at Mount Doug.
And I mean, it turned out to be the best decision for yourself. I think it really made you excel in your career, kind of really gave you a good platform to kind of get better at the game and really kind of excel around you with other good players and a good coaching staff. I think maybe it's like, who knows what happened if you go to like, for even myself, right? Like you go to an NDSS, or maybe you go to a Belmont, a school that maybe football isn't really taken seriously, or maybe kids around you don't take it as seriously, so you're not able to get the most out of it as what you could. But going into it, I think maybe something that's probably pretty cool, or like maybe that was a big like decision for you, is probably like the players before you, I guess, in the program, the Jordan Deverils and like the Terrell Davises. How I'm familiar with you, it's funny that you say like you wear white helmets and you saw the Mount Doug helmet and you said like I kind of want to wear that helmet. I remember Mason Swift coming to a Busby camp and us not really knowing like who Mount Doug was yet, and that the helmet being pretty cool and being like, damn, that's a wicked ass helmet. Mason Swift, obviously being a really talented player, he kind of took over the camp. So it was kind of like, damn, like who is that team? Like, and it's just funny how things work out like that. But I feel like that kind of had something maybe to do with it, just the talent level that was before you and maybe the tradition that is set. How much did that maybe go into your decision that like you had seen these talent level, like the high level talent players come in before you, they had won championships and stuff like that. And how kind of cool was it to maybe eventually play with a few of those guys?
Well, man, really like growing up playing community football, right? We start when we're 7 and we have those 3 age groups, right? And the guys that came before me, I was always watching those guys play the games after we would finish our games when I was a young kid, because the older age groups would play after us. So I remember seeing guys like Marcus Davis play. Alex Carroll, for example, he's a bit older than me, but he was in one of the older groups when I was young. Jordan Deverell, Trell Davis, Mason Swift, all those guys. They were all playing after me, so I was always watching those guys, and then they're going to Mount Doug. So I mean, I might as well follow too, go to Mount Doug and win championships, right?
No kidding, man. So you go into your freshman year. For those that people that aren't aware, Gavin is a very versatile player. He plays receiver, he plays quarterback, plays corner. He can probably play safety. He returns kicks, returns punts, does it all. Going into his freshman year, there's a guy that's already kind of established. Joe Clark, obviously, as the quarterback.
Yeah.
Good guy. Shout out Joe.
Sir.
But like I said, very versatile. So that really doesn't slow you down in terms of getting on the field. You find a role at being able to contribute on offense a little bit. I'm not really sure, but I'm sure you contributed a little bit on defense. But
Yeah.
really talented roster overall. Kind of, how excited were you to really put on the Rams helmet and then really get into that freshman year?
Oh man, it was really cool because the way we had our community football set up, right? So in the fall, we would all play on different teams within the community, and then in the springtime, we would all come together and play with the Victoria Renegades. And so coming into my ninth grade year, I had got to play with all these guys, the year before, and we go to school together, at different places, and it was just really cool that we all got to come into the same school. You know what I'm saying? I've been playing against all these guys my whole life growing up. Now here we are, all in the same school, all in the same team. And, you know what I'm saying, with all my friends. So man, it was exciting to take the field with all the boys together. You know what I'm saying?
Super sick. But so ultimately that season kind of doesn't end how you guys want it, but maybe how much did that really feed the beast for you guys maybe going forward, and kind of just um how much did that really like motivate you to maybe train a little bit harder going into your 10th grade season and really kind of get like capture your first championship?
Well, yeah, that freshman year for us, we lost in our JV team. We lost in the semifinal to Terry Fox. And man, I remember we had lost that game, but we felt like we left some stuff out on the table. And then I remember coming into my 10th grade year, I was playing quarterback on the JV team, and then I play receiver with the varsity team. And our JV team, man, we did this new conference. We played all our games on the island, and we dominated, right? And I think we swept the whole island all season, and then we got into playoffs. We won our first game, and then we go into the semifinals. And who are we playing again? We playing Terry Fox. Man, I thought we played a hell of a game. We played a great game. I was slinging the riggedy. We were having a comeback. I had 2 touchdown passes in the last, couple minutes. And then, man, we fell short at the end. We were driving the field. I was on my Peyton Manning stuff, making little audibles. And then I drop back to pass one play. I see it and I throw it. Safety makes a good play, picks me off, and the game is over.
Heartbreaking, man. That's the game though, right? You kind of live and die by that stuff sometimes. But I'm glad you mentioned the Island Conference. I'll take it back a little bit for our viewers. For those of you that maybe aren't aware, I guess that's probably just me and Gavin thing is the first time I was introduced to Gavin, I was first year varsity, so I wasn't playing in this game, but the Mount Doug Rams had come up to play my high school NDSS. I was doing sticks at the time. I think it was maybe like first quarter or something like that. We punted to Gavin, and he took it back like maybe out on. It's one of the first plays on your highlight video of that season. I think it was maybe like 80 yards, probably 70-ish plus yards, and he took it back to the house. The kid was, like I said, playing quarterback, throwing it all over the field, running for touchdowns, playing a little bit of receiver. So my introduction to Gavin was like, holy shit, who is this kid? I obviously got to like, we kind of built a little bit of a connection that game. I talked to you a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then we kind of connected every time we'd see each other at football games or basketball. So it's just kind of, it's funny that you mentioned that island conference, because I remember you guys, because I went to come watch you guys play Barsby, I believe, too,
Yep.
and just blow the doors off that conference for sure, which probably that was probably like a bunch of preseason matchups for you guys, just playing a lot of those teams. But
It was cool though.
so I'm glad you mentioned that you played. So you basically started at quarterback for the JV team, and then you were pretty much a starting receiver. I'm sure Coach Mark didn't want to risk you too much in like regular season stuff, but I know you played a lot of receiver for the varsity. Especially you started the Subway Bowl game, I believe, but you even went to the Hawaii preseason trip with them, I believe. So how cool was that to play? Like I mentioned before, I believe that was the #1 team in the country that year.
Yes, it was.
Ashton McKinnon at quarterback. You had like guys like CK, guys like Zach Wilkinson, Highway 74, for those that don't know. Mason, Julian, just a very Shay, Marcus, yeah, hard to forget Marcus. A very talented roster, and for you as a grade 10, kind of how cool is that stepping into that role? And you really, you kind of, when you did get your opportunity, when you were in there, you did a really good job filling into that role. So how cool is that to be and play with some of those guys that you looked up to, like a Marcus Davis and stuff like that?
Man, it was really cool because, growing up, yeah, like I said, we always were watching these guys play, right? And now I get to play with them. And man, they really just took me in like I was one of theirs, you know what I'm saying? Like we were all good friends throughout high school. And man, getting to play on that team was crazy, bro. I'm telling you this, bro. I got to play quarterback for the varsity team every once in a while in my 10th grade year. And I remember this one game we were playing Van College, and it was, yeah, we were up by 40 or something like that. So I got in there to play quarterback, young grade 10 kid. And my first play behind, like under center, I remember it was just spread right. I think they called in Nebraska slide protection, and it was just two go balls from the slots and dig routes from the inside guys. And I remember catching the snap, and I took a 3-step drop, and I hitched and I hitched. I looked around. I was like, man, I'm in a real pocket. No one was near me, and boom, threw the pass. And that was one of the coolest experiences, bro, because that O line on that team that year was insane, bro. Like,
Some road graders.
yes, man, and to get to throw the ball to guys like Marcus and like guys like Ross. I don't remember if you remember Ross Faulkner. He was a real
Yep.
good ball player. Man, we had some dudes on that team, and just to be a part of that culture and that was the three-peat year. Yeah, so that was the varsity team's third championship in a row. So yeah, I got that cool ring that said three-peat on it. And man,
Something special for you, man, to be a part of. That's like Mount Dog history. You cemented yourself with your name on that forever, right?
mhm.
So for me, I'm curious, as a JV, like I said, when you did have your opportunities, you did excel. How much confidence did that give you going forward? That, you know what, I've done it at the varsity level, being a JV, being a 10th grader. I can really maybe take it to the next level. And maybe how dangerous, how good can I really be at this game? How confident did that season make you?
Honestly, man, like not that there's definitely a difference between cockiness and confidence. Um, I always felt, you know, and this is me saying with confidence, I always felt that I was the best player on the field. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like to be a successful football player, you have to think that way. And then, coming in the 10th grade, playing in varsity, and doing my thing, getting my touches, and making a couple plays here and there. I knew coming into my junior year that no one could stop me. You know what I'm saying? I knew, and with the guys around me and the team that we had our junior year, man, we had a great team. We just messed it up at the end. You know what I'm saying? I knew kind of coming in to 11th and 12th grade, like no one was going to stop me in the province at least. So I would say I was pretty confident.
I think like you touched on, right? I think that's super important for football players to kind of carry that, maybe walk that fine line of cockiness and confidence. I think that kind of confidence you have to play with when you kind of strap it up and kind of not like show weakness by any means, but just kind of just the like alpha mentality and kind of the physicalness of the game. I feel like you kind of have to approach football kind of with that mentality.
That's the thing about football, is that that the guy across from you might be better than you, but you can't let yourself or you can't let him know that either. You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna tell yourself you're the best ball player on the field. Nobody can stop you, right? Obviously there's other good ball players and they're gonna make their plays too. But as a football player, I couldn't say that anybody, was just flat out better than me because then I feel like I'm not confident enough in myself, right?
Absolutely. I think that's hopefully for some of our viewers listening, that's a key like thing to maybe take and something maybe that um it's funny. I had North on the pod yesterday and we kind of talked a little bit about like varsity football and kind of that thing too. And I talked about like North having his confidence. Maybe that's something that I lacked a little bit is kind of carrying that or maybe walking that line of cockiness and confidence and just that the way you carry yourself, right? With confidence instead of that cockiness, right? You're not cocky by any means, but you know in your ability that are you believe in your ability that yeah, like I'm gonna make some plays, but you're gonna make your fair share of plays too, and we're gonna see where the chips lay at the end of the rep or the end of the game or what have you. So, like you said, going back into your junior season, you get back with a team that's pretty talented. You go kind of more back into your receiver role with Joe slotting in at quarterback. Very
Yep.
talented roster, right? You guys have like Byron McKinnon's in your senior year, Shea Fairnews, a lot of talented guys, Justice Kremlers.
Yeah. We had a stacked team that year. I could sit here all day and probably name all the players on that team, but we won't do that, man. They had a good team.
Very talented group. So maybe just take us through that season, and then maybe just take us through ultimately the little bit of the disappointing ending as well.
Well, man, that season was the first time that Mount Doug had gone perfect throughout the preseason and the regular season. You know what I'm saying? During the regular season and the preseason, man, we wiped the floor with teams. I'm not saying that in a cocky way. I'm just saying, we had a good football team, and
And if I may interrupt you too, that wasn't just Canadian teams. I believe you guys went down south as well. Played some teams from the states as well.
we went down to Tacoma and we played Mount Tahoma down there. Um, yeah, we beat up on them pretty good. We went down to Forks, but Forks was a single A school, so we beat up on them pretty good too. Um, but man, when we went through that season, like we didn't feel like anybody could stop us. You know what I'm saying? We went through the playoffs. We had a couple close games, you know what I'm saying, but we persevered. We came from behind in a game or two, and man, we went into that final. We were playing South Delta, and man, I remember in the regular season we beat South Delta.
You beat the
Shit,
brace off them, didn't you?
it was like 40 something to 6 or something like that in the regular season. So I remember, I think a good part of our team was kind of, what, we're just, we're just going to show up and we're going to win, and that whole week of practice, I remember there was definitely some guys I was like, man, we're just going to go in there and win this stuff. And we're on to the next level. Right. And then we came into that game, man, and South Delta came to play and they beat us up pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, they had a good team too, and yeah, they brought it to us.
The McDonald's, I believe Grant was on that squad, right? I remember actually watching that game. Julia was on the call, I believe.
Hmm.
Just me being on the island, me kind of knowing what Mount Doug was, how shocking that was. I remember the score in the regular season, kind of knowing you guys. I had a little bit of a relationship with Joe, yourself,
Hmm.
Byron a little bit. So just I remember I believe they kind of got on you guys early, but then you made some plays. I believe you had a play. You kind of scored a touchdown, I believe, down near the end zone. You kind of had like an out route touchdown that kind of looked like the defender maybe would have picked it. But
Yeah.
how maybe kind of how frustrating at all was that for you that maybe you guys couldn't capture a title with that group together?
I mean, for me, it was frustrating. It was disappointing, just because I felt like we definitely could have won that game if we would have done the right things, right. Um, but honestly, it was more motivating, right? Because I knew I still had another year left, and man, me and all my boys, right? We went through the ninth grade together, lost in the semis. We went through the 10th grade together, we lost in the semis. Here we are in the 11th grade, we lose in the finals. You know what I'm saying? There was no way that we were gonna mess it up again.
This wasn't going to be us. We're going to we're going to finish on the right note. Like we're going to write our end of our high school career is going to end the way we want it, kind of thing. I feel like, so going into your senior year, I'm curious, like you said, you were kind of going into it with your boys, um, having your group together. You're the senior, you're kind of the alpha male, if you will. How much fun was that senior year? Looking down at my notes here, I believe you were the AAA BC High School Player of the Year. You had 1,800 all-purpose yards, 900 receiving, 497 rushing. I believe you had 423 yards returning, 16 total touchdowns, and then ultimately you guys finish it off with a provincial championship the right way. How much fun was that senior year for you?
Man, that's one of the best memories I have playing football, that whole season, right? I mean, we came in that off season. I've never seen a group of high school guys, come together the way we did, and we trained every day. We had our fun. We did what we did as kids, but man, we really came together that off season and that summer, bro. And we grinded, man. We knew that no one was going to beat us coming into that year. You know what I'm saying? We did all the little things. We had group workouts. We were running. We were on the track. You know what I'm saying? And man, when we came out, we were hot.
So, getting into a little bit more of the finer detail, you obviously are totally fine with playing quarterback, but going into your senior season, at some point, it kind of even got word up here that there was this 10th grade kid, I believe ninth grade, sorry, Gideon Kremler. Obviously you're good buddies with Justice, so you probably have known of him for a little while, but
Yeah.
kind of when did you guys get word that maybe you guys were going to lean towards a ninth grade starter? Obviously, you being in your last year, how did kind of that decision come about, and kind of how much confidence did you give Gideon, and just being like, yo, bro, like I believe in you. Just like I'm here, give me the rock. I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna be open, right? Like I'm your security blanket, right? You don't need to worry about that, right? Like you got protection. You got an
Hmm.
alpha receiver. You got the BC High School Player of the Year. So like, how much confidence did you kind of give him coming in, and kind of when did that decision ultimately be made?
I remember I had a couple conversations with Coach, our receivers coach, Coach Mark, and our Coach Naylor, our quarterback coach. We were always kind of in discussion about it, because we were always thinking, Gavin, you're great, you're a good quarterback, right? But we had felt that I was more of a threat as a receiver. You know what I'm saying? Because Gideon can play, and I've known him since he was a little 4 years old, because me and Justice been playing together since I think the fourth or fifth grade, right? And Gideon and his twin brothers Eric, they're 3 years younger than we are, 4 years younger than we are, and so man, we grew up with those two twins, right? And they they were so far ahead of everybody else their age. Man, this guy Gideon, I remember watching him when he was 8 years old, jumping over kids. You know what I'm saying? Like he was just doing freaky things, and I think that was really just a product of the environment, man. Like, could you imagine yourself always hanging out with the big brother and all his friends? And, you know what I'm saying? When we're out playing football and they're playing with us, like we're not going to take it easy on you because you're a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like we're kids too, and
And you're getting like better that way too, right? Like when you're playing with 4 year eight, like an age gap, and then you drop down and you're playing your talent level, it's like, man, this shit's easy when it comes to this, right? So
and yeah,
continue.
so after those conversations, like we had kind of felt like, yeah, we know Gideon can play, and it wasn't to say that I could never get behind center and play quarterback at all, right? Like I took a lot of snaps at quarterback, but man, we just felt that Gideon brought something to the table for our team to make us more dynamic and more versatile. Because man, we had guys on that team like Declan Mickelin. I don't know if you remember him. Great, hell of a running back, bro. Great linebacker. You know what I'm saying? We had Javon on our. You played with Javon for a few
Yep.
years, right? He was on that team. Oliver
Oliver.
McKenzie. You know what I'm saying? Man, I can't miss nobody because my homie's gonna get upset with me if I miss him. But
I
y'all know
it,
who you are. If you're watching, you know who you are.
like if I don't know, maybe if
Danny
Manny.
Lopez,
I was
bro.
gonna
He
say if I'm not,
was
don't remember if Manny really fell off at that point, but Manny was a talented ball player growing up. Man, he was really skilled. I remember that guy.
Man, we had a stacked team, and so we just kind of felt like, man, Gideon can come in, he can throw the rock, and he can move. So we're all he really had to do was just run the offense, throw us the football, get Declan the ball when the play is called for him, get me the ball when the play is called for me, get Manny the ball when the play is called for him, and then the rest will take care of itself.
I think you could see from a very early age, he was so advanced for his age, man, when it came to kind of processing, not really putting the ball in harm's way too much, really understanding kind of open windows, when receivers are going to be open, kind of thing, when to take shots. Just being a really, and not really messing it up, right? Like the offense is kind of built, right? The offense has structure. We have studs everywhere. Kind of just get them the ball and like do your thing, right? And he was able to excel in that and then really show his talents of being
Yes,
able to
man.
kind of
And you could see as the year went on, he started running with the football more. You know what I'm saying? He
scrambling outside the pocket and stuff, extending plays and stuff.
a lot of really good plays, especially as a freshman kid. He's what 13 years old, coming in and play with us. We're all 17, 16, 17, 18. Man, he did a fantastic job.
Fantastic job. And then you guys end up obviously capping your senior year off with a provincial championship the way you guys would want to go out. With that being said, we'll transition, and I'm curious what went into your recruiting process after you guys kind of win. I'm sure you went. I believe you went on a few visits. Kind of take us into your recruiting process of the BC High School AAA Player of the Year. Kind of where did you go? Who was kind of on your radar, and all that kind of things.
Yeah, man, coming out, I had quite a few offers to go pretty much all across the country. Um, I just it was kind of stressful. Your phone's ringing every once in a while. You're talking to the recruiting coordinators and some head coaches every once in a while. Then we got, like Coach Doby would fly to our school and give us a little speech, and then pull a couple of us aside and have the recruiting pitch with us. And then took some visits. I took a visit to University of Regina. I took a visit to Guelph, and I took a visit to UBC. I'm trying to think. I think I had another one. Can't remember. But yeah, I had a few visits. Um, I had a visit at SFU, obviously, right? And yeah, I just remember, I'm coming home talking to my parents about it, and for me, it was always hard because it's always, what are you going to do in school? And I was like, well, I don't know. I thought I was just finished school, I just graduated. So what am I going to take in school? I'm like, oh, well, shit, I don't know. I'll figure it out, right? So then it kind of became, what's going to be the most cost efficient? Um, where am I going to get to play? You know what I'm saying? I think if I went anywhere, I could have played. But I was young and naive. I wanted to play my true freshman year, and so that kind of weighed into the decision too. And then so I have all these offers, and I'm looking at them and stuff, and man, as an 18-year-old kid, it was cool being courted like that. People want me. You know what I'm saying? People really, they're calling me every day, asking if I'm ready to make the decision, come to their school. Man, that was a great feeling as an 18-year-old kid, right? And so I remember when I made my decision, I was sitting in the foyer with some of my buddies, and obviously I have talks with my parents, talks with my friends, and I just remember I looked at some of my buddies. I was like, you know what, I'm going to go to SFU. And then Justice was sitting there. He's like, you know what, I just made that decision too. I'm going to go as well. And then Oliver's sitting there. He's, you know what, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do it too. And our buddy Mike, he's like, fuck, I'll come to SFU with you guys. Like, let's do it. So then I remember I signed the papers, called Coach Bates, told him the decision. And man, yeah, I went to SFU and the rest is history, right?
So, and a quick shout out, you ended up meeting someone that I'm familiar with. Shout out to a Nanaimo boy, Nathaniel Durkin, someone that
What's
you
up,
be,
Nathaniel?
you became homies with, and somebody that I'm good buddies with. I've ran routes with him in the off season. He was very dominant football player, basketball player here in town. So quick shout out to Dirk. But you end up going to SFU, and I feel like maybe starting like a new trend of like somewhere like I feel like maybe UBC kind of dominates in terms of getting maybe more of the high profile BC recruits kind of thing. Um, how kind of excited were you to maybe start an own chapter? I don't believe anyone prior to you in Mount Doug had kind of went to SFU.
Just Jordan Devereaux.
Right, Jordan, I should have known that with Jacob Chang. That's why I should have known that. But so kind of what went into kind of wanting to choose SFU over some other options like a Guelph, maybe even like you said, a UBC, University of Regina. And then maybe did staying home have a maybe a little bit to do with it as well?
So like weighing all those different options, right? I think a big thing what played into it, man, I wanted to play in the NCAA. You know what I'm saying? Like Division II football is no joke, and they play real good football in D2. So and my dad's American, right? He uh, he was really pushing for me to go the NCAA route, and and then it kind of became about a little bit about the money. You know what I'm saying? Like when you go to the OUA conference, they can only give you X amount of dollars, right? And in NCAA, there's no real cap on the dollars that you can get, and aside from like the allotted amount, right? So I think really what it came down to, yeah, I'm going to play in the NCAA, and I'm going to get more money when I go to SFU.
And I think kind of something that you said is interesting too is like the fact that you do get to play NCAA Division II, right? For those that aren't aware, SFU is the only place in Canada where you're able to be in Canada and be in the NCAA, be at home, but still be able to play that level of competition in Division II. You're able to probably have.
With the asterisks though, because there's some stuff going on there. I don't really know what's going on at SFU right now. There's some stuff going on with their conference, so we'll see if they get to stay D2 or not. But
Well, prayers up for SFU. Fingers crossed for SFU and all the all the good vibes heading that way, man. Because I hope they do. I think that's just a cool thing for us to have an NCAA school in Canada, kind of a little bit of like bragging rights, right? And it's in our home province too, right? So I think that's cool.
also, I gotta give a shout out to Nathaniel about going to SFU because I remember we were in Vegas with Team BC, and I remember we had a conversation after our game, and he was like, "Man, I'm going to go to SFU. Like, bro, you should come too. Like, we're gonna go change the culture over there and start winning games." And then Rise and John hit me up, and he said, "Yo, what are you thinking?" And me and him kind of started talking. He was thinking SFU, and I was like, "Bro, if me and you both go to SFU, we can bring guys with us." That was kind of our thought, because we were two pretty big name guys coming out of high school, and me and Ryzen were like, "Bro, if both of us commit, then why wouldn't everybody else in BC who's good come with us, right?" So like we had a pretty good recruiting class that year, but things just didn't really turn out the way we had hoped.
Like you said, a very talented just BC recruiting class. But those three are probably like some of the top maybe athletes I'd say in that class, right? Dirk, freak athlete, guy that plays basketball, football, Ryson, absolute freak that went to Van College for the people that don't know. Blue
Stampeder.
Calgary Stampeder now. And then yourself obviously. So that's kind of like I felt like that was maybe their attempt at who like securing those top profile talents. Obviously, Dirk was a AA player. He was a quarterback, unfortunately, his senior year. I feel like mostly. But getting back on track, transitioning to your freshman year, you have some success on the field, but ultimately not really much team success. I believe you guys went winless. I think you guys went 0-10 that year, but on the field, you had some success. I believe you had 32 catches here for 332 yards, a touchdown, but where you really excelled was the return game. I believe you had something like 900 total combined yards. I think it was like 889 kick return yards. How frustrating how much of a frustrating transition was that coming from such a winning program like Mount Doug, and then kind of going through that freshman campaign of not really much wins, but a little bit of success for yourself off the field or on the field, sorry.
I mean, it was it was foreign to me losing like that. You know what I'm saying? And it was frustrating because it was almost like guys were okay with it. You know what I'm saying? And it was it was weird to me because we would go into games knowing we were going to lose. You know what I'm saying? And it takes a toll on a young player, right? Like I'm coming from a place where I probably lost 3 games my whole high school career to where now, man, we struggle scoring points. And it's like I never really understood what it was because I always felt like, man, I'm just as good as these players on the other team. Like what's going on? You know what I'm saying? But man, it's just it's a tough conference to play in, bro. Like my freshman year, I remember it's a 5-team conference, and 3 of those 5 teams were ranked in the top 25 in the country. You know what I'm saying? We play some good football teams like Humboldt State, Central Washington, Azusa Pacific, and Western Oregon. You know what I'm saying? All those teams are good football teams, right? And they would come out and just slap the shit out of us, bro.
So moving forward, you guys kind of get maybe some like you said, right? You got a little bit of a beat down that year for from some good teams, but how much did that kind of motivate you and want you to kind of keep trying to like change the culture? Like you said, maybe some guys would go into games not really expecting to win, but how much did you keep trying to, because you stuck around there for a majority of your time in university, right? How much did that mean to you to try to keep changing the culture and maybe try to change some of that attitude going into games and maybe even just being more competitive as you guys got forward in your career?
Oh man, I mean, that was the whole goal of that whole recruiting class, right? Um, yeah, but it was tough because we would go through an 0-10 season and half that recruiting class would leave. You know what I'm saying? And that was the cycle. We just couldn't keep a class together. And I remember, going into my sophomore year, I felt like things were going good. I thought we had a pretty good football team. You know what I'm saying? I thought, we were really gonna do some things. We had a great quarterback, Miles Richardson. We had weapons on offense. We had a good defense. And then, man, it was just shit. I guess some other teams were better.
Talented conference though, like you said, right? Something that I'm unaware of. Like I haven't been to an SFU game before, and probably a lot of people aren't aware of, right? From the outside, they just kind of look like, oh, SFU is like a winning list program, but it's like if you kind of peel back the finer details a little bit and kind of just see like these conferences are pretty good that they're playing in, and then it's like not to devalue us, but like a lot of our roster, I feel like, is Canadians too, right? And we're playing against Americans, and maybe it's just a little bit different, especially when we grew up. There wasn't things like Game Ready and like these 7-on-7 teams that we had access to. There was Team BC and stuff like that, but not so much of like the kind of like extra stuff, the skill development and things like that. Where in the States, you're playing 7-on-7 from such an early age, and you're learning those skills at such an early age. Once you get to university and stuff like that, you're so advanced already. So I feel like that maybe kind of uh, somewhat holds us back because I feel like we can do anything that they can do. It's
Mhm.
just a border. Nothing really separates us talent wise, but I feel like that kind of has a effect. Going into 2017, you guys have a little bit of more. You have more struggles on the field, but you have some more success individually. I believe you have 1,000 kick return yards. Looking down here at offensively, you had 33 receptions, 360 yards, 3 touchdowns. My first question, can you take us into what does it take to be a good punt and kick returner, and kind of how fearless do you have to be? For those that don't know, I feel like special teams is such a not like, I don't want to say dangerous place, but like people are trying to earn jobs on special teams. Like things are flying right now. Kind of some of the rules are kind of making things safe, and especially in the NFL with the no peelbacks and stuff like that. But what does it take, in your opinion, to be a good returner?
Well, man, you said it yourself. You have to be fearless. You have to be confident. You have to be fearless. Um, Man, really, that's it. You catch the rock, and if it's on a kick return, you're going to set up the way you're going to go, but you have to hit it. That's it. You know what I'm saying? When you catch the rock, you're going to set it up 1, 2, 3, and then boom, your foot's in the ground and you're gone. you know, and you have to hit it hard because the way I always looked at it, bro, on a kickoff return, you're gonna set it up and the hole's gonna go like this. And
There's
that's
no
it.
can't half step.
You can't half step it. You got to hit it when it's here, and if not, boom, you're gonna get slapped. You know what I'm saying? And even when you do hit it, sometimes you're still gonna take a hit. But I feel like the harder you hit the hole, the harder you're gonna lay the boom on somebody else. You know what I'm saying? It's all about being fearless. You got to go out there expecting to make the big play, but you have to be okay with just, getting the ball out to the 25.
Absolutely. So, and that's something you've always done in your career. Is you. I feel like maybe that's just an instinct that you've always had as a football player of just having a good feel of how to set up your blocks, how to change up your speeds. Right? Maybe you're not at full speed right away when you get it, and then you see that hole and you accelerate through, and you're kind of as long as I've known you, if people that don't know you, you have that extra gear and you can kind of pull away from some people. So, how kind of maybe after that season going into your 2018 season, how frustrating was that for you to have two back-to-back winless seasons? Like you maybe touched on some recruiting classes not really fully committing, as we know in our short kind of span in university football. If maybe you have like a frustrating year or something like that, you can kind of maybe tend to panic because you feel like I'm running out of time, like I'm running out of a chance to get tape, I'm running out of a chance to go pro or whatever your motivation is. But what was kind of your mindset? Was there any doubt that SFU was the place for you? Was there any doubt even if football was for you? Kind of what was your mentality after that final game in 2017?
Yeah, so at the end of the that season, we were going through another head coaching change. Um, we were bringing in Coach Ford and it was a before it was Coach Bates. Shout out Coach Bates, man, great man. I miss that guy. It was good, nice to see him this weekend at the combine. So shout out Coach Bates. Um, we were moving on from Coach Bates into Coach Ford, right? And during that off season, yeah, I was a little uncertain. Do I want to, go through a coaching change? I took a visit to University of Calgary and I took a visit to University of Guelph during that off season, and yeah, I was really considering transferring that year. But then, Coach Ford came in and he addressed the team. I really liked what he had to say. I really liked the way he carried himself and the person that he is. Shout out Coach Ford. Um, and man, he said all the right things to keep me around. I really believed that what he was doing, what he was going to do for SFU football was really going to be legit. He brought in a good group of guys that next year, and he brought in a good coaching staff. And so, man, I was actually really excited heading into that 2018 season because I thought we were going to be pretty good.
You believed in the direction that he had or the envision that he had for the program. So that's cool to hear and something for me that I didn't know, right? I knew of you, but and I always knew that you were at SFU. I didn't know that you took those visits and maybe had other thoughts of maybe joining the CIS. And I'm
Hmm.
curious how that would have played out. I would have loved to see in that red and yellow. But um, moving forward, 2018, take us through. I believe it was an injury season for you. How long? I'm really unfamiliar with it. When was the injury? What was the injury? And then kind of what was your headspace of those frustrating 2 years, unsure if you want to come back to the program, and then you have an injury that ultimately I believe ended your season. So take us through that whole 2018 season.
Man, this is like one of the darker times of my life, right? So 2018, coming to camp, man, I had never felt so good in my life, bro. I came in heaviest I had weighed, the fastest I'd been running. Um, I was moving, and we had a good team. Miles was still here as our quarterback. Um, we still had Ryzen. Ethan Bissell was on that team. Shout out to all those guys. Shout out to that whole team that year, man. We were gonna have a good season. You know what I'm saying? And I remember it was day 3 of camp. We hadn't even got into pads yet, and I ran a little 6 yard out. I slipped and fell. Boom, popped my hammy. So I think I tore my hammy about 60% of the way through. Um, so I took the medical red shirt that year, and man, that was the toughest year for me out of like my whole football career, my whole football life. You know what I'm saying? You're a student athlete, and really for me, There's always athlete, student. So now, kids, if you're watching this, guys going through the university route and being a student athlete, man, it's student and then athlete. And so in 2018, yeah, I tore my hammy. I'm not playing. I took the medical red shirt, and then I fell into a little bit of a depression. I didn't go to class. My grades fell. I was never a great student. I was right always on that 2.0 kind of line. And I remember I missed a midterm. I didn't hand in any of my assignments. And coming to the end of the semester, I was like, man, I'm about to fail all my classes. You know what I'm saying? I didn't go to school all semester. And then on top of that, we had drug tests, and I had failed a drug test because I was smoking weed. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't playing. I was not in a good headspace. So I was smoking, fuck, damn near every day. You know what I'm saying? And I took the drug test, failed the drug test. So on top of that, I'm facing a suspension, possibly losing my scholarship. You know what I'm saying? Um, fuck, I failed two out of the four of my classes. Had two Fs and two Ds. So that's a 1.0 GPA. To be eligible to play, you have to have a 2.0. So that moved my C GPA, which is like all your classes together, moved that down to like a 1.6. So now, on top of my suspension, on top of not having my scholarship, now I'm academically ineligible. Now I can't play at all coming up for my next year. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm like, shit, what am I gonna do? You know what I'm saying? It was one of those moments. It was I decided to pursue football as my career, and I wear this bracelet that says choice is an illusion. You know what I'm saying? I decided I wanted to be a pro football player. I don't have a choice anymore. You know what I'm saying? It kind of took. I had to look at myself in the mirror and kind of decide, is this what I'm going to do? You know what I'm saying? So I came back from that fall semester, 1.0 GPA, worst semester of my academic career. Uh, I looked at myself and said, listen, man, you got to come out with a 3.3 GPA so you can play next year. So that's going to be all what B pluses. And I was always a straight C student. You know what I'm saying? And this is the part, man, is what I think can be an inspiration for everybody who's watching this. Is that, man, I went down from the lowest point probably in my life. You know what I'm saying? I can't walk. My legs messed up. School is not going well. I'm being an idiot. I failed the drug test, and I come back. I said, man, I don't have a choice but to train my ass off to get back to where I was before, and then also I got to work my ass off in school, right? So I came back out that spring semester. Man, I went to all my classes. I did all my homework. I did the extra work. I went with the tutors, with the study hall. Um, I was grinding all the time, working out, trying to get my leg back to where it was before, trying to get my body right for the next year. And man, I come out 3.3 GPA, all B pluses. You know what I'm saying? I came out of that semester. I was weighing the heaviest I had weighed. I'm running faster than I was before my injury. And I set myself up for a great redshirt junior year coming up the next year, man. And like the one thing I want everyone to take from that, man, is that no matter what you're going through, no matter what you've been through, like there's always something on the other side. You know what I'm saying? Like you can always get through it. There's no other way but through. You know what I'm saying? Um, Coach Niox used to say that. We'll get into him later. He used to say, you're going through a tough time. There's really no way out. The only way is through. You know what I'm saying? So when you're going through something tough, man, you just got to put your head down. Get to work one day at a time, one task at a time, and just compete your ass off in everything you do.
Hell yeah, brother. I really appreciate you guys or you sharing that with us, something that you said that the darkest point of your life, and you're sharing that with us. So, and like you said, I really hope that somebody or maybe the right person sees that and they really take that and use that for an inspiration. So thanks, Gavin, for sharing that with us, man. And that's kind of why I wanted to start this too, right? And share people's stories that are unheard and stuff like that, and kind of to maybe I never heard of kind of a little bit of behind the scenes of what was happening, and just to hear of what you were going through and stuff like that, man. Like I really respect you even more of just kind of where you are now, right? Going through a little adversity. Everyone in life goes through adversity, right? But it's about how you handle it and kind of how you can get through it, right? Because everyone's able to get through it, but it's if kind of if you put your head down and you're willing to kind of grind it out and get through it, and that's something obviously that you were able willing to do, right? You were willing to grind it out in school. You were willing to grind it out in, I would imagine, rehab, trying to get your hammy back right, trying to be the player, trying to be a better player than you were. So I tip my cap to you, buddy. I take my hat off to you, man. I really respect that, and thank you for sharing that. So going into kind of maybe your comeback season, what was kind of maybe just your overall mindset? I mean, I believe that maybe would have been like that would have been your CFL draft eligible season. So kind of what?
Technically, it could have been my draft year. I think they had pushed it back because of the injury, so it would have been the year after. But I do remember coming out after that season. I was projected top 25 um, in the CFL draft. But man, going into that year, I just remember, should I have blonde hair? Um, I was ready to let it all hang out, man. Like there was nothing, I would do everything in my power so we could win some football games. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, we came up short. We did get a win that year, um, but man, I just remember, this is our team. This is my team. This, like these are all my guys. We've been together now for 4 years. So let's put this all together and let's go get it. We got a brand new set of jerseys. You know what I'm saying? Like we were ready to rock and roll.
And you guys was looking fresh in those jerseys up on the hill too, for sure. Um, so ultimately, pretty much that kind of ends your SFU career. Obviously, if you're not aware, you're probably living under a rock, but we go into 2020. We are hit with a worldwide pandemic.
Mhm.
For those that aren't aware, Canada was much different than the States. There was professional sports was kind of still playing. I don't remember really if NCAA sports was playing, but it was a lot different. There was no sports helping here in Canada that was professional, collegiate, high school, the you name it, right? So what kind of was when you heard about it, like everybody else, kind of how just I'm sure shocking was it for you when you heard about COVID pandemic? What was maybe your mindset of you said with the injury you had another year of eligibility, kind of what were your plans and kind of how much did COVID derail your plans?
Well, so coming in, so that redshirt junior year that I had at SFU, I think I had a pretty decent year. I did some things, made some plays, and then after that season, we kind of had caught wind that we were going to go through another head coaching change, and this was before COVID had come out, right? So once I kind of caught wind that we were going to go have a new head coach, I was like, okay, I've put my time here at SFU. I've been here for 4 years. Not much has changed. You know what I'm saying? Like we're gonna go through the same turnover that we just went through. I have one. I'm going to my last year. I got 1 year left to play college football. So I'm like, I think what's gonna be best for me is if I start fresh. I got 1 year left. I'm gonna go somewhere new, somewhere with some stability. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna join. I'm going to join a good team, competitive team, and hopefully we can go win a championship. That was my mindset, kind of coming out of that year before COVID had hit, right? And then I make the calls, set everything up, get enrolled into U of M. I'm setting up my travel plans to head over there, and then boom, COVID, and then I'm still we're still training, where we can when we can when the lockdowns weren't so crazy, and then it hadn't been official that the season was going to be canceled. And so when when we kind of caught word that they were thinking about canceling the season, I still had plans to go out there because go to Winnipeg because we were going to have practices. And so season got canceled, and then boom, it's like, damn, this is my draft year. But I haven't played. I played 1 year in the past three. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking, damn, what's next? Draft year's coming up. I had a decent enough career to where I could have had my name in the hat there. I think I may or may not have got picked that year in the draft, but then we got the option to defer. And so, I was talking with Coach Doby, and he had kind of said, over your college career, do you really feel like you've shown the type of player that you really are? And I felt like I haven't. And coming off, I would say for myself, a mediocre year at SFU. I wasn't really confident in my film that I was going to, be able to really make a good name for myself. So I decided to push back my draft year to the next year, which, I think that was a great decision.
So, like you said, you end up having plans to go to U of M, someone that you were familiar with. You had been talking to Coach Doby since high school, right? You've had that relationship. I believe he's a pretty big, likes to kind of pick BC guys. He likes to come out to here for the all-star type games. He's very out here. He comes to the BCFC games. That's where he kind of scouted a good buddy of mine, North. Likes his BC talent.
Yes, he
So
did.
you sign with University of Manitoba.
Hmm.
How maybe excited were you to kind of show what you actually like? Not that maybe SFU didn't get all of you or your what maybe you could have given, but how excited were you to maybe show that? I'm a senior type guy. Like I played in a league before, not maybe CIS, but I played in NCAA before. Like I'm a veteran type player. I have a resume. I believe at SFU you had like 2,000 kick return yards and 1,000 career receiving yards. So a very established type player. How kind of excited were you to kind of show that and not prove yourself as maybe the wrong way to put it, but just show that you belonged in the CIS and Canadian football?
Well, I mean, it was kind of about proving myself, right? I mean, guys on the team, you hear, oh, SFU guy coming in, or SFU sucks. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm gonna come in, but I'm sure, the guys kind of knew who I was coming in, man. And I was super excited to get there to go play with my guy Dez, the quarterback there, and because we had trained a little bit together. He was out in Vancouver training with Rob Williams. I met him there, and I caught passes for him, and that kind of weighed into my decision to go there as well. And then when I got there that COVID year, when we had practices, I was like, yeah, man, I gotta show these guys who I am. So I came out, made some plays, did my thing, and then guys were okay, yeah, this guy can play, right? So then when I come in the next year, when we had the season, I had the respect of the guys, and man, we had a really good football team, and we just some things happened. We'll probably get into them, and it was a good year for me.
So, like you said, you have a good year, right? You touched on it there. You kind of chose University of Manitoba because you know the caliber of program it is. Coach Doby really being able to get guys to the pro level, even like the NFL guys, like a guy like David Onyemata, someone that never played football before until he got to the University of Manitoba, and now he's playing
Mhm.
on Sundays. So just a very established program. I would imagine you were probably very excited. Some cool colors, right? A very cool atmosphere in the stadium. You're with the Winnipeg. You share a facility with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, so you're kind of shown what pro lifestyle is kind of like. You have pro facilities. Um, you touched on Dez. I believe when I was researching, you went through 4 quarterbacks um, in your time at Manitoba.
One
How,
year.
how how maybe frustrating was that for you that you had to go through COVID? You're there for like you said, off season practices and stuff like that, and then you're gonna get into the season. And not to maybe take any slights at any of the guys, but like how disappointing was that to maybe not have like Dez or just have one quarterback for a good amount of time and just having to like get chemistry, get your reps in with a different quarterback, and just how frustrating was that for you?
I mean, I won't say it's frustrating. I mean, obviously, I was super excited to play with Dez, and it really unfortunate what happened to him in that first game. But it was once Dez went down. I remember we were watching it all happen. Me and the receivers, right? And we kind of looked at each other like, all right, guys, man, like it's up to us. You know what I'm saying? We had a stacked receiver room, right? It's like, hey, we're good. We're gonna carry whoever the quarterback's gonna come in and play with us, and honestly, bro, we were blessed to have Jackson Tuchinski, bro. Like he came out and balled, man. He was a redshirt freshman, plays on the basketball team, and he came out and he balled, bro. And honestly, like we couldn't have asked for a better job from him. And he got banged up, and so we had another guy, Sawyer Thiessen, true freshman. He was 17 at the time, and he came in and he slung the ball around too. He did a good job. And I mean, for us as receivers, we kind of we came together as a group and we're like, look, guys, it doesn't matter who's at quarterback. We just got to get to the spot, and he's going to throw it to us.
We're good enough type mentality. So that's I think that's another kind of nugget that people should pick up on, like, and we've been touching on the whole time, is just like that mentality that you got to carry with, right? Like we're good enough, boys, to like bring the level of play up no matter who's behind center, right? Um so overall, kind of maybe just lay out for us, how was your experience at the University of Manitoba overall?
Man, I loved it out there. You know what I'm saying? Winnipeg, the city itself, it's cool. It was cold. It's flat, very flat. Um, but man, I enjoyed my time out there because we had a great group of guys, man. I love those guys over at U of M. So shout out to you guys with the Bisons, man. Keep doing your thing. Some big things coming for a couple guys this year, a couple guys next year. You know what I'm saying? Man, I had a really good time. I made some really good friends over there, and I had a lot of fun. Like football was fun, and that's really what I needed, man. Like my whole reason for transferring was to get a fresh start and have fun again, right? So, man, I think honestly, like for me personally, I think I could have been a bigger contributor to the team. If Coach Mitchell and Coach Doby, if you guys are watching this, like no disrespect, but y'all should have fucking fed me the football.
No
You know what
doubt. Hey, talk your
I'm saying?
shit.
I didn't get to return kickoffs, which was um, like I don't even know the word to describe that. I don't know why I didn't get to return kickoffs. I think I was the best kick returner in the country for the past 4 years. Um, I didn't return kickoffs. And man, hey, no slights to nobody, by the way. Like, no slights to the guy who was doing it. Um, he was a good kick returner too, but I was like, oh, man, I think I could return kicks just as good. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get to return no kickoffs. Um, I felt like I only had one, two, maybe three targets every game. I only had 30 catches. You know what I'm saying? I know we only played 6 games in the regular season, but I felt like I could have been a much bigger contributor than what I was. I did contribute, don't get me wrong, but I felt like I could have done more.
No, no, absolutely no shade, man. But I love you talking that's just your confidence, right? You're a competitor, right? You feel like you could have done more. And I think you could have done more. I think if people aren't familiar with your game, right, I think you're at your best is when like you get the ball in your hands, right? And you're able to kind of make plays for your team. You're able to make people miss, use your speed, right? You're a very versatile weapon where you're able to win in a lot of different ways, right? Whether it be returning, especially in like the CFL game, right? Where you're able to use your waggle and stuff like that. Maybe some more like jet sweep type stuff,
Yeah.
bubble screens, like just get the rock in your hands and let you kind of take over, if you will, from there. So I was kind of going to ask you when kind of your mindset switched of kind of when you wanted to go pro, but it sounds like it was kind of 2018. And then I would imagine you went to University of Manitoba because, like we touched on, Dobie's pedigree of getting people's players pro. You kind of understood that that was your best opportunity to go or try to go pro, whether it be CFL, NFL, whatever your goal was. Um, kind of what was your kind of your game plan after the final year of eligibility you went or you had with the Manitoba Bisons? Kind of where did you kind of have an idea you were going to train? You were obviously going to enter the draft, but just kind of take us through that process of, okay, I'm going to go pro now. This is my time to kind of enter the draft, go through the combine type stuff, go through those team meetings,
Mhm.
really kind of get your resume ready for pro football. Kind of what was going on through that process?
Yeah. So at the end of the year, like I had a pretty good, idea that I was going to get invited to the combine. So then it just kind of became, who am I going to train with? Um, we had, I think we had 4 or 5 guys go to the combine from our team. So we got together and we were trained together. Um, I did all my on-field training with Dr. Kutu. So shout out to Dr. Kutu. Um, And then yeah, I just kind of went through the winter, finished up school, and yeah, it was just kind of getting ready to put my portfolio out for display. You know what I'm saying? I knew that my college career wasn't what I would had hoped it to be. I feel like I didn't really get to show everybody really what I can do on the football field throughout my career. I had little glimpses of it, but I didn't really think I played out my full picture. So I knew going to the combine, I had to come in and I had to open some eyes. You know what I'm saying? So I took my training real seriously. Um, we was running, we were lifting, we were, I was eating good, and man, like coming into the combine, I knew I was like, man, once I come out here and I show people I can jump, show people I can run, and show people I can catch the football, I was like, I don't know what else I can do, right?
So, like you touched on, right? You felt like you could have given more in your career. Um, was there any like maybe chips added on your shoulder? I believe you had to go to the regional combine in Edmonton before even getting a national combine invite. I'm very familiar with you. Ever since I've known you, I always remember you. For those that don't know, you're around maybe you're under 6 feet for sure, right, Gavin? You're 5'11". Ever since I've known you, you've been absolutely yamming, throwing down. So you've always had bunnies, always been a very athletic person. So um, you go to the regional, get invited to the national, and you absolutely blow up both combines when it comes to testing. I believe you had a 41-inch or 41.5-inch vert. Your broad jump 10 feet 9 7/8. Just really put on a really good display. I remember watching the one-on-one period. You absolutely dominated. I believe there's that one highlight. Stavros just posted it of kind of breaking somebody a little bit at the combine. Did maybe you have a little bit of a bigger chip on your shoulder that maybe you had to go through a regional
Yeah, for sure,
combine?
man.
Yeah, and maybe just take us through kind of what your mentality was, and maybe just, hey, I'm here and I'm gonna bust everyone because I had to earn my right to get here, kind of thing.
Well, and that was it for me, man. It was like I always knew in myself that I was a great ball player. Um, and coming into the combine, I was like, I showed my stuff at the regional. Um, and I was grateful for the invite to the national. However, I thought I should have just been invited to the national from the jump. But that's beyond the point. Like that's me just being, a little bit cocky, I guess.
Hey, that's like
um,
if people didn't watch the Last Dance, right? Like how Jordan would use like the tiniest things to kind of like he took them as slights, right? But that's, I feel like as competitors, as athletes, you need that kind of, not maybe to like you lose motivation or whatever, but like you've been playing football for like 10 plus years now, right? Sometimes you need like a new uh energy, if you will, or something new to like kind of hang on the wall and chase or something like that. So sorry, continue though, Gavin.
so yeah, man, we go into the national combine, right? And I had a good showing again. I dominated the one-on-one period. So I coming out of that, I'm like, man, I think I made a good name for myself. And personally, like we had a pretty decent receiver class come out. Tyson and Jalen Philpott, obviously, right? Um, like no slice of them by any means. They had phenomenal careers, bro. Like unbelievable careers. They dominated the Can West for 4 years in a row. They dominated, bro. And they deserve to be first round picks. Like hands down, they deserve to be first round picks. But me personally, I felt like I was the best receiver out of the class. You know what I'm saying? And that's just me being a confident guy. Like that's no disrespect to Tyson and Jalen because those are my guys. Like we're good friends. Um, but man, I feel like they'd say the same thing too. I'm the best receiver in the class, and that's how you have to be as a receiver. You gotta demand the respect of everybody else in the room. And so, coming out of that combine, I was like, man, I think I made a good name for myself. I showed it. I shown everybody what I can do. I can run. I can jump. I can catch the football. I can run routes. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, yeah, I feel good. And man, it was an exciting time for me. I made a name for myself on a national scale. And man, it was exciting.
So maybe if you can maybe just get a little bit, I'm curious if you've ever kind of used this throughout your career. And I'm not really sure if you felt like you dealt with this, but obviously you're more of a smaller statured player. Maybe just if you can maybe motivate some people, right, that are watching, listening to this. How have you kind of used that as maybe motivation, and maybe just like if people look at you like, hey, he's a little bit small for the pro game, or he's a little bit small for post-secondary type football. I don't know if he's going to be able to really excel the way he did in high school type stuff. I love that you're smiling because I know you're ready to attack this question. So just how have you always dealt with that question of probably always being labeled, well, I don't know, Gavin's pretty small, or I don't know, is he durable type thing, or maybe uh, he's a
Yeah,
returner kind of thing, right? Stuff that you've been maybe labeled, and maybe you've proven pretty much that you're not you're durable and you're a tough receiver. You're more than just a gadget type player, right? So do you use that as motivation, and maybe what can you tell people that are watching to maybe how they should maybe carry themselves if people kind of are labeling them?
So I remember coming out of high school, I went on my visit to UBC, and coach had told me, he said, Gavin, I don't think you're as good as everyone says you are. You're too small. I don't think you're going to succeed in the post secondary level just based off of your size. You know what I'm saying? And man, I remember that. I was like, I can't believe this guy's really telling me this right now. You know what I'm saying? And from then on, I was like, man, so what? I'm small. I can do anything you want me to do. You know what I'm saying? Um, and from that, it was just like, man, I'm gonna do everything that I can do to prove that coach wrong. And I think I did. You know what I'm saying? I think I did prove him wrong, show him that I can play in college level. And now my next task is to show everybody that, man, I can play in the pros. So like I'm excited to really get this year rolling.
And I think if like for me, right, not to sound biased or whatever, because we have a relationship or anything like that, but like if you take like a teammate, and this isn't a slight at Ryson or anything like that, but I feel like we both know, or people know, like Ryson's had a very established kind of, he had a chance in the NFL and stuff like that. I feel like both athletically and on the football field, like you could do anything Ryson can, right? Like you're just the athlete that he is. Maybe your body frames aren't similar, but like the way that you guys are both fast, right? And you guys are both like receivers that you can be weapons in the offense. So I feel like, I don't know, you can kind of like use that as an example, right? Maybe use that as a little bit of emotion motivation, but it's like, you know what, like Ryson's down there, like down south, like making noise. Like I could do that. Like
Yeah,
we
that's
like
always been the motivation, man. And shout out to Ryzen for real, man. He's an inspiration to all of us. Like Canadian kid to go down to the NFL for a few years and try to make a name for himself, man. It's really impressive, bro.
Absolutely, and I'm excited to watch him take over the CFL now, man. He's gonna be a monster.
Dude,
Um,
I want to turn the light on.
oh yeah, go ahead, bro. So getting into it, for most kids that are in BC that are from the island, right? They don't really go through the process that you went through. How cool is it to maybe go through that, like meeting teams, meeting general managers, meeting some guys that you probably looked up to? I'm sure you maybe got in the room with G-Roy, someone that we probably looked up to both a ton, that people from BC know how, and even people Canada wide know how important G-Roy is to Canadian football and stuff like that. So how cool is that process? And maybe is there any like the stories that come to mind of going through those teams and meetings and stuff like that?
Man, that was really cool. We're at the combine, we do the interviews and stuff. Man, to sit in a room with, these are the guys that I'm trying to get a job from, and to pursue a career that I love, right? So, obviously you want to impress, right? But those interviews, man, they're a little nerve-wracking. At least the first one was, before, get the feel of it. My first interview, man, was with Montreal. And one of the coaches, the first thing he said to me, he says, "You don't like to work out, do you?" I was like, "Coach, I work out, I promise." And he was just on my ass about being small. You know what I'm saying? And like it's a repeating pattern for me. "Oh, you're small. I know I'm small." You know what I'm saying? But I'm never gonna let that hold me back. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, okay, coach, I didn't do the most reps on the bench press, but hey, look, I ran a fast 40. I can catch the football.
I
You know,
caught all my one-on-one balls, coach. Shit, you watch the field work?
you know what I'm saying? Um, So, when people tell me I'm small, yeah, that adds a lot of motivation for me. So that first interview was like a little bit, oh man, here we go. But then, the rest of the interviews, man, like the coaches and the GMs, they really try to make you feel comfortable. You know what I'm saying? I remember my interview with Coach Jones and G-Roy. They had some snacks in there, waters and candies. It was just like hanging out with a couple of guys. You know what I mean? And like obviously they ask you the questions. Um, they always ask you the questions to know the answer to, so you always got to be honest. And yeah, it was just really cool getting to like, you're talking to the like, it kind of feels like you're talking to the higher ups in the place that you're trying to get to, you know.
The big wigs, if you will, or like the front office types, like the guys that make all the decisions. But so ultimately you go in the fourth round, something that I think is kind of cool, but maybe that's just because it wasn't me, but you were the first pick of the fourth round, I believe 30th overall. You end up going to the Edmonton Elks. Take us through kind of draft day when you got the call, and maybe how exciting was that you got to live out a lifelong dream of, Gavin, you're going to be playing professional football. You're going to be getting a check to play football, something that you've been playing since Pop Warner, right? That it's people always say when they go pro, it's like, I'm getting paid to play a kid's game and do this for a living is so just fulfilling. How was that day for you?
Man, that I actually have a funny story about that, about the draft day. So I'm at home with the family. We're watching the live stream on the TV, and first round goes by, second round goes by. I was really hoping that I was going to get picked in the first 3 rounds. But it is what it is. Like you get picked, it doesn't really matter where you get picked at. You still got to make the team. But I remember, third round ends, and just as they're about to break, the stream cut out. Man, and so TV screen is black, and my mom, she's, oh no, like what's going on? I don't want to miss it. I don't want to miss it. Like hurry up, someone fix the damn stream, fix the damn stream. And then all of a sudden my phone starts ringing. And then as my mom's yelling, she's, oh no, we're missing it. We're missing it. I'm on the phone with Coach Jones, and he's, you ready to come play some football, return some kicks for us, for the Edmonton Elks. Man, that's a feeling that I wish every kid that dreams about playing professional football gets to feel. That it's one of it was the most exciting yet humbling, phone call I've ever had. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I, I'm getting the call to go play pro football, but now it's like, man, I'm getting ready to go play pro football. I gotta really get my shit in gear and get this shit going, because draft was May 3rd, rookie camp opened May 10th.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was one of those like, yes, like let's go. I'm super excited. And then right away it was like, boom, let's go. Like it's go time.
It's
You
almost
know?
like getting thrown to the deep end, hey, like getting thrown and you better sink or swim kind of thing, and hope you end up swimming, because especially as we know in pro football, right? It's the NFL is called not for long for a reason, right? Guys kind of usually only hang around for maybe 2-3 years, and then with the drafts and stuff like that, there's new talent always cycling into the league and stuff like that. So you got to really make an impact and hope that you stick on any team. So you get drafted to the Edmonton Elks.
Yep.
Um, from afar, or at least I was paying attention on Twitter. You started to kind of turn some heads, get some little bit of news clippings. I remember a highlight of you catching a touchdown. I think Chris Jones kind of compared you like a Chris Williams type. He saw you kind of being able to be explosive on offense, but be able to return kicks as well. What was kind of that time going through that for you? Kind of being into pro football, playing with like Manny and Kenny and stuff like that, and you're kind of excelling a little bit early in camp like that. And how was that time for you?
Man, that was the most fun I've ever had in my entire life playing football. I can't lie. Um, you know, for like a quick minute, you're almost kind of like starstruck. I come into rookie camp. Cardale Jones, he was the quarterback.
Ohio
You know,
State.
yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, damn, I'm catching passes from Cardale Jones, 12 gauge. You know what I'm saying? Cardale, if you're watching this shutout, man, you throw a rocket.
Hey, hey, Buffalo Bill draft pick, baby.
hmm You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So like for a minute, you're looking around, you're like, damn, like I've heard of these, I've heard of you, I've heard of you. Um, it goes from that to saying, all right, now we're on the field, we're all competing together. And that was the coolest part for me, man, because like, we always had the dream growing up. I want to go to LSU. Oh, I want to go to Florida. Oh, I want to go to, you know, Florida State, or I want to go to Texas, big schools like that. And for me, I never got the chance to go play football down there in a, one of those big schools. So for me, I was out, I kind of took it upon myself, and, I'm gonna prove to myself that I belong. And so throughout rookie camp, the first 2 days, you got all those guys, guys from Florida, guys from Alabama, guys from Ohio State, Arizona, all them Notre Dame, all them big schools. But we're all out here on the same football field, and I felt like I was one of the top players. You know what I'm saying? So for me, that was really cool. I was like, man, so I think I really do belong. You know what I'm saying? And then when the vets showed up, day 3, it was like, here we go. Now we're playing against some
It's on.
now we're playing against some real football players. And then I kind of proved to myself that I did belong in that group. I thought I had a really good camp. And I think I really put on display who I am as a football player during camp. So I was really happy about it, man. I had a great time during camp.
So unfortunately, I believe you dealt with a little bit of an injury that kind of derailed your season. Just take us through kind of, and I'm really unfamiliar with it. What was the injury? How maybe what was it a blessing that maybe now you're looking back at it? Kind of take us through that rookie season that kind of maybe didn't go the way that you expected.
Yeah, man. So going through camp, I think I had established myself as a guy that they could lean on, and I would get some field time. Um, and then that second preseason game, yeah, I suffered the injury. Shit, that was it was a traumatic one, man. It was I dislocated my ankle, broke my fibula. It was ugly, to say the least. My foot was all twisted, weird. Um, but yeah, had the injury, had surgery a few days later, and then so now it was weird for me because yeah, I know I'm a rookie, and here I am, just I'm in a boot, crushing around all the time, and so now I'm feeling like, man, do I really belong here? You know what I mean? And so we go through the first few weeks. I'm in there every morning trying to get my treatment. Going to meetings, trying to stay in the game, and try to learn. And man, that was really all I could do. I was just trying to be a sponge the whole time. Every time a guy like Manny would say something, I'm listening. A guy like Aaron Grimes, and when he say something, I'm listening. You know what I'm saying? And you're just watching these guys, these pros. They've been in the game for 5 to 10, 15 years. I'm just watching the way they move. How do they, when they come in for practice, what are they doing? Guys are getting in the tubs, they're stretching. They're doing recovery stuff. Guys are watching film. You know what I'm saying? So just being around that environment, I think helped me a lot. And all the guys on the team too, they would see me around and say what's up, wish me like well wishes and stuff to get better, all that kind of stuff. And that went a long way, you know what I'm saying? Guys, going out of their way to, make sure I'm doing all right. So shout out to the team. You guys really helped me through it. But man, it was tough because, I had high expectations for myself from a rookie year. I set out, my goal is to be rookie of the year. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to, kind of put my stamp on into the CFL and show that I belong here. So I mean, that's kind of the goal going in this year. I'm honestly, I think I'm more of a football player than I've ever been in my life. I'm bigger than I've ever been. I think I'm faster than I was before I broke my ankle. Um, Man, shit, I think I'm gonna have a big year.
Perfect transition, Gavin. Maybe just tell our viewers, tell Elks fans, maybe how excited you are for this campaign, what they should expect from you this season, what they should expect from the offense. Just maybe how excited are you for this year to kind of maybe, like you said, prove yourself, stamp that, hey, I'm here, I do belong playing in pro football.
Man, I no words can express how excited I am to get this stuff going, man. I mean, we got big name guys coming in. Sorry about my beeps.
All
You know,
good, buddy.
we got big name guys coming in. Cornelius is coming back under the helmet quarterback.
You
You know,
Dunbar,
yeah, we got our
Tyron
defense
Moore.
is gonna be hot. You know what I'm saying? I think we're gonna have a really good football team, and we gotta win some games for the city of Edmonton, and that's what we're coming here to do. and I'm hoping to be a big contributor in it.
Damn right, buddy. And I'm excited to see you guys. I think with the weapons that you brought in, Cornelius kind of being like given a little bit of confidence, like from Chris, we believe in you. We're gonna kind of give you the reins here and really see if you can excel. Going into it, kind of maybe I'm not sure if you want to maybe put expectations on yourself, but kind of what do you expect from yourself as a football player? Like, do you expect to maybe contribute right away on in returning like in the return game? Maybe do you expect to be like one of the Canadian receivers that the Elks tend to dress or maybe start? What are maybe your expectations for this season?
You know, I always set high expectations for myself. I'm hoping to be a starter on offense. I get to return the kickoffs and the punts. You know, I'm just kind of in the mindset where I'm going to take everything as it comes. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not a starter week 1, it doesn't mean I can't be a starter week 2. You know what I'm saying? I'm always going to keep my head down. I'm a grind. I'm I'm going to take it upon myself to try to be the hardest working individual in the building. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna surround myself with the guys that I think are gonna help me learn and bring me up to the best that I can be, and hopefully I can raise them up around me as well.
Awesome, buddy. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for kind of coming on here, giving me some of your time, sharing your story, being vulnerable with people, kind of letting them inside some of your darkest times in your career, stuff like that. But to end it off, I kind of want to, it was perfect. You're wearing the shirt. Can you maybe
Hmm.
just talk about what is peak school football? Kind of what does that mean to you, and what has it done for you in your football career?
Man, so Peak School of Football, it was founded by my good friend Ryan Brower. Um, Initially, it was one of those things that we really want to try to bridge the gap between the high school student and the university coaches. You know what I'm saying? We wanted to kind of provide some exposure and bridge that gap. And Ryan kind of used me as his guinea pig and his kind of like his brand ambassador in a way to kind of draw people in. And from there, it kind of became more so of a community to train with. You know what I'm saying? It's a community for young players in Edmonton to have exposure to guys like me, and guys like Kenny because he's around, guys like Aaron Grimes because he's around now too. um, and Ryan's done a really good job of bringing the football community together, and creating a safe place for these kids to really grow and take their game to the next level. And that's really what our goal is, man. Like we run camps every weekend. We actually just finished up with our last one, I think 2 weeks ago. We just try to get these kids working during the off season, so when we get into their seasons, they're firing on all cylinders, and then they can put out good tape to hopefully get recruited.
And where can maybe the people find where to maybe get access to these camps, or maybe a website or anything like that, social media, anything you want to plug,
Um,
Gavin?
you can find them on Instagram at Peak School of Football. You can probably find them on Facebook. Same thing, Peak School of Football. And man, we do little receiver camps. We do trench camps. We have a quarterback coach. Um, Man, we really got the whole package. So yeah, check out Peak School of Football on Instagram. If you're in Edmonton, man, I'd love to see you guys out. And if you want to make a trip, it's a great place to be. It's a great place to train. Great people around. And yeah, man, check us out.
Well, Gavin, I appreciate you so much for joining us today, buddy. And you obviously know I'm in your corner. I'm rooting for you. I'm excited to see you take off this year. And I'm excited to see when you do make the team, when you are starting on the roster. I'm going to be there opening night for the Lions home opener. So June 17th, when you're in the building, I will be wearing my orange. I will be wearing Lions colors, but I'll be definitely rooting for you, buddy. I hope you take a kick return to the house or something like that, but hopefully it's not too close. But thanks for joining us, buddy, and anything you want to leave us with.
Man, I just want to say thanks for having me. If you guys are watching this, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I can do it, man, you can do it too. Whether it's in sports, business, whether school, it's in life, man, just, decide, make that choice where the choice becomes an illusion, and we got to do it every day. You know what I'm saying? The great Aristotle, I wear it on my wrist too. We are what we repeatedly do. You know what I'm saying? Greatness takes no days off.
Absolutely. So, Gavin, can't thank you enough, buddy. Just want to say a quick thank you to everybody for supporting the podcast, following along. Appreciate it if you guys keep liking, commenting, and subscribing on the YouTube page. Follow the Apple Podcast account, download the episodes. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. I had a lot of fun talking with Gavin. I hope you guys learned some things and really enjoy hearing about Gavin's journey through his football career. So it was a lot of fun. Gavin, thanks again, buddy, and we'll talk soon. And we'll catch you guys on the next episode of Coast to Coast Gridiron, a football podcast. Thank you for joining.
Thanks, guys.